this should be one of the most pressing issues of the labor movement, fighting for a shorter work week across the board. You know, it's something that we can do that would have a lot of benefits for a lot of folks.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
The last segment that I had lined up for today is talking about, you know, the fight for a shorter work week. And this is something that has been getting a lot of attention in the UAW negotiations, even though the UAW really since the beginning of the negotiations hasn't been highlighting it as much, which I think is a little bit of a bummer, but, you know, that's fine. I think just getting it out there is a really huge step. A 4-day work week for 5 days pay is really, really big and deserved by the working class, because as wages have stagnated since the 70s and 80s, production has continued to increase. Production has increased even more since the, you know, the 30s and 40s and 50s, since we last got a reduction in the work week. And all of that increased productivity, all of the value created by that increased productivity has more or less gone to the people at the top, gone to the people who own businesses, gone to the people who make money because they have money. And that's absolutely not right. And so we should take some of that back. And the way that we should take some of that back should be in the form of wage increases and also in the form of more free time. You know, one of the things that Shawn Fain has repeatedly mentioned is that German workers work an average of 3 months less per year than American workers, and they're doing fine over there in Germany. And so, you know, the country is not collapsing, right, because of a short work week. It's doing fine, and so it's not something that is impossible to enact. In fact, these very companies have a shorter work week in Germany and France. And so the UAWD, Unite All Workers for Democracy, the Reform Caucus in the UAW that campaigned successfully for one member, one vote, and then campaigned successfully for the UAWD slate that had Shawn Fain at the top. They put together a panel a couple of weeks ago about the fight for a shorter work week with union members from across the globe, specifically from Germany and France. And they talked about the fight for a shorter work week and how that was won, and working with a shorter work week over in Germany and France, and how, you know, specifically a 32 and a 35-hour work week is what they have over in Germany and France. 35-hour work week, and so how that was won, and the fight for a reduction even further to maybe a 32-hour work week like the UAW is fighting for. So first off is this German worker. He talked about the German fight for a shorter work week. Here it is.
In Germany, we won the 8 hours working day after the revolution of 1918. This was achievement for some decades, but in the 1970s, unemployment began to grow rapidly, and many union members demanded again shorter working time. The leadership of our union long opposed these demands until the Union Congress in 1977 decided with a majority that we will fight for the 35 hours week without cut in pay. In 1984, after long negotiations, the membership voted for strike. For 7 weeks, many of the big car plants like Mercedes, Opel or Audi were on strike. At the peak, a big part of the car and supplier industry had stopped production, with no less than 600,000 workers involved. Additionally, at the same time, the union of the printing industry started their strike for the 35 hours week. Here in the printing industry, the strike lasted 13 weeks. Several workers were badly injured when trucks of the capitalists were driven into the picket lines. But together, the workers gained the victory, and since the year 1995, we have the 35 hours week, even at the plants of Ford Motor Companies or of Stellantis. But capitalists always try to get back longer and more flexible working time. The union pushed forward and the capitalists wanted to turn back time. After reunification of Germany, we had only 38 hours work week in the East and the 35 in the West. But after long struggles, today many companies in the East have the 35 hours. The struggle will continue until everyone has the 35. In this November 2023, our union starts the struggle for the 32 hours work week in the steel industry. And hopefully they win, and the next round of the struggle will start. As you see, the struggle for a shorter work week can be long and hard. But we should not forget shorter work week is our right. We are working for capitalists who pay us a certain living wage, but make us work for much longer hours to get their profit from our work. It is our right to get a part of our living time back. As Karl Marx said, free time is the essential wealth of a society. Thank you.
Hey, 5 seconds. Just wanted to say that this is only possible because of our donors. If you want to see more of this, then consider donating yourself at tvlr.fm/donate.
Free time is the essential wealth of a society. I think that's a great quote. And, you know, I mean, that there's really nothing more important. There's nothing more valuable than your time. And so the ability to claw some of that back from the capitalists is important and absolutely should be at the forefront of the labor movement and has been on the back burner for far, far too long. Here is the worker from France talking about their shorter work week.
So when we speak of work time, we speak of different things. We speak of time in the day, time over the course of the week, and time over the course of a lifetime. In France, the battle for reducing the time that we work has occurred across businesses on the national level, and we've often obtained these rights that have been inscribed in the law, and they've been applied to workers all over the country. One of the first examples is the 8-hour day that was obtained in 1905 by miners on strike, and which was inscribed in a general law in 1919. This was one of the main demands of the workers' movement since the 1st of May 1886 in Chicago, for the right to have time of rest, but also to have access to leisure time and to culture. In 1936, we had a general strike and we got the work week at 40 hours. In 1981, leftist government came to power and we got a reduction in work time to 39 hours. And then, being inspired by the German example, we demanded a 35-hour work week, which we obtained in 2000. But that law opened multiple possibilities to employers to limit its extent and impose quote-unquote flexibility of work. Given that there was a deregulation that accompanied this law of 35 hours, many workers felt that they had been cheated. And so in the years that followed, they no longer wanted to hear about a reduction in the time of work, because it's not just about a reduction in the time of work, but work also has to be regular, and you have to be able to plan in advance so that you can actually have free time and so you can actually benefit from your personal free time.
Cela explique que nous n'ayons
So this explains why we haven't made much progress in this domain over the last 20 years. However, the idea of the 32-hour work week, working only 4 days a week, for example, is starting to make the rounds among workers in France. And some companies like Bosch have already gotten this. And so we're very interested to see how the demand for 32 hours circulates in Germany and in the US. And we believe that an international campaign could be launched like our comrades in the past did when they won the 8-hour day.
Thank you.
This should be one of the most pressing issues of the labor movement, fighting for a shorter work week across the board. I think, you know, it's something that we can do that would have a lot of benefits for a lot of folks. So yeah, I want to see it revived. We came very close in the 1930s to a shorter work week than 40 hours. It's time to do it. It's time to return some time to folks. I think there are economic benefits to it, environmental benefits to it, but really it's just a humanitarian thing, frankly. We've got too many folks out here who are working 2 to 3 jobs, people who are working one job but working 45, 50, 60 hours a week at that one job. You know, we had someone in our comments talking about a UAW member saying they've been on 11-hour shifts every day, basically since the last couple of years. Nothing but 11-hour shifts. You know, and it's just uncalled for.
Right.
We can do better. We can spread more work around, and frankly, there's a lot of work in the country happening that's not super productive, that maybe is not super socially useful. And so, yeah, I've always believed that a shorter work week alongside a federal job guarantee would be huge policies that could really shift gears in this country. I know those are pretty optimistic, but, you know, I think it's something that could really help.
Yep.
You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.